This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Next up, we get a Raw Money in the Bank match. The Miz is going to pick up the win over Mark Henry, Evan Bourne, Chris Jericho, Edge, Ted DiBiase, John Morrison, and Randy Orton. I got to tell you, man, these two Money in the Bank matches in this show really stood out to me because there's so much talent. Again, another 4-star outing. This is the third 4-star match on the show. What a sleeper this is. The Miz wins here. I love this one. I don't know what else to say. I know we just sort of crapped on it at the top saying, oh, there's too many gimmick matches and we're trying to force it, but I'll be damned if the execution here isn't damn near flawless. Great stuff once again. And we see guys we don't really see all the time now. Evan Bourne, Ted DiBiase, and of course, some guys who've been here the whole time, like Randy Orton and Chris Jericho and the newly returned Edge. This was a fun watch this week. What'd you think watching it back for the first time in 10 years?
100%. I'm with you. And again, it was another blend of young guys that were getting a chance to be in a huge match. You know, DiBiase, Evan Bourne, and you had your veterans, you know, you had the Jerichos and the Edge and, you know, Miz was a guy that you thought going into this match was maybe just going to be another contestant. You didn't know he was going to have the impact. You certainly didn't know he was going to win the match. I don't think anybody in Vegas would have picked Miz
right
to win this thing. So you had that shock factor. But once again, people do not understand these matches. Man, they take a lot of effort and they take a lot of thought, and to come up with one that was totally different. And I made mention and jotted down the spots and went back and looked at it, was totally different from the earlier match, which is difficult to do. I mean, there's only so many things you can do with a ladder, and it's very dangerous, but they did some really impressive stuff. They had some spots to make Mark Henry, look like Samson, one spot in particular where there's 4 guys up fighting on 2 ladders and Mark stepped in, and the spot from the Samson movie where he steps in and just pushes the 2 columns apart and the building falls down. That's what that was a reminder of, that type spot. It made Mark look like a monster. It was just a lot of thought went into this thing. It really did.
Let's talk about Miz here getting the win. He's going to hold the Money in the Bank contract for 127 days, which is just over 4 months. Then he's going to cash it in on then WWE champion Randy Orton to win the title on Raw November 22nd, 2010. Fast forward 6 months and he's in the WrestleMania main event against John Cena. The rise really starts right here. Were you surprised that they went with Miz? I mean, I know you said Vegas wouldn't have taken it, but you were working with him day in, day out. You saw what sort of a loyal soldier he was to the company and the brand and a good representative for the organization. Were you surprised that they actually made him, a legit main eventer here with John Cena at WrestleMania the next year?
No, not really. I know Vince likes Miz. He's dependable. He's durable. He speaks well. He dresses well. He fits with that Hollywood deal. He can go do Entertainment Tonight or any of those shows and represent the company well. He's a guy that literally started from Tough Enough and came up through the ranks. So he paid some dues. It was a guy that kind of came in under the radar, but, he was built properly, and putting him in the main event with John Cena at WrestleMania is about as big as it gets. So, Vince always, and probably to this day, likes and depends on Miz for, to do a lot of things. So good for him.
Good for him indeed, man. I think, people have been overly critical of Miz, and, he's got his certain group of haters and sort of non-believers, but I think he's one of those talents that you'll start to appreciate him more, maybe a little later, maybe when it's too late, maybe when he's gone. But I think when you look at his stuff objectively, the dude did a great job at everything he was ever asked to. And I don't sort of get the narrative that, Miz sucks.
Well, everybody can't be a steamroller. Everybody can't be a body guy. Everybody can't be a world-class technician, but if you have a little bit of all the things, if you're a good enough worker and a great talker and you look like an athlete or you've got an incredible look and can really talk, but just a fair wrestler. I mean, any way you want to take those ingredients and spread them out and all that. If you've got some of that stuff, you can be around for a long time, and everybody can't be the last match every single night. You got to have guys that are on second from last and third from last. Sometimes open the show, sometimes the first match before intermission. Miz is one of those guys that can move up and down, and as long as you put a mic in his hand, he would piss some people off. He didn't mind being a heel. That was the most important thing. He's very unlikable if you give him that mic, and he'll be around probably as long as his body holds up and as long as he wants to be.
It feels like this is sort of the beginning of a new era. I mean, we're pushing the Miz here. We've got Sheamus in the main event. We've got Jack Swagger in world title matches. We're trying to transition to sort of a new generation here overall. Are we not?
Yes, sir. You always have to have new. You got to keep feeding the audience's appetite for new faces and new talent. And, every 5, 7, 10 years, you completely have a new fan base. People get older, they go to college, they start in the workforce. Maybe you lose them for a while that were fans when they were kids. Those that were fans in college enter the workforce, and they may not come back to wrestling for 10 years after that. You've always got to be reestablishing your fan base. And that means you've got to have a diverse menu of talents that give you all kind of different things. And all these guys they're different. And that's what you have to have when you're producing. Think about the hours of television WWE is available, and if you just have the same product, which is a mistake that's been made in the past, putting the same talent in too many segments on Raw or SmackDown, other than feed that time out and feed those segments to these young talent that need it to get over. And I mean on a weekly basis, not a monthly or every 6 weeks or 8 weeks. That won't get it. You got to have these guys on TV every week if they're going to get over. And some point, judge whether they're in a position to be a top guy and draw or not, but they got to have a chance, and that means they got to have reps on television.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money, it's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.